I watched a video today from John Griffin. He's a YouTuber. He inspired me to kind of film videos the way that I'm doing it now, where I'm just walking and talking. I'm not super familiar with all his content, but the one today, he talked about subtle ways you can tell that she's manipulating you. And when I saw this, it really just brought into a whole bunch of thoughts into my mind of how I felt manipulated throughout my marriage, throughout our relationship. I didn't notice it. I mean, I didn't know at the time, I didn't recognize what it was, but I could feel when this stuff was happening in my body that this isn't normal. This isn't what people should do. This isn't what a relationship should be. But because I was young, didn't have a lot of experience, pretty much just wanted to be in a relationship with the first girl that I met, I didn't have a lot of, I didn't know how to handle it. My wife was pretty low self-esteem, I would say, insecure about a lot of things, had issues with her father, and there was just a lot of red flags to start the relationship. I remember so many times of her getting jealous and guilt tripping me from the start, and because I wanted to please her, I wanted her to love me, I wanted her to stay with me, I didn't have boundaries and I just put up with it. So in this video, I just want to share some of the ways that I felt I was being manipulated throughout my marriage and why I don't put up with that from women anymore. Maybe not say put up with it from women, but I have boundaries now that if my girlfriend or wife is gonna use these tactics against me, I am no longer gonna take it. So one thing that she was great at was playing the victim. Anytime she would come home from work, she would talk about how her coworkers did something that she didn't like, or something was their fault. When her mother would call, she would complain about something. It was always something, she was always the victim in the situation. If her friends needed a favor, it was always, what did they do for me? Or they don't do anything for me. Blaming me for not doing enough for her. Never any real personal accountability. That's something that I've learned over the years. Maybe she just didn't know any better, but a lot of victim mentality. And one of the reasons why I would come home from work and play video games is because I knew that was the time to myself where I didn't have to listen to anything. There was no negativity coming from somebody else. And I knew when she would come home, it was immediately gonna be, all these people did something to me. And because I wanted to be a good husband, I don't know if I learned this from my dad, who still does this to this day, I was always trying to solve her problems. I wanted to be the fixer. I wanted to be her savior. I wanted to be able to do whatever I could to make her happy, rather than pointing her in the direction of what could you have done to maybe make the situation better, or is it really as bad as you think? I never stood up to her. I didn't know what to say. I just went along with it, and I played the victim mentality too a lot. Like, I didn't like my job. I didn't really complain about it as much because she didn't want to hear it and I didn't want to share it, but a lot of victim blaming or victim mentality. And I think it was trying to not only get my attention, but to make me feel like I was needed with her. I was there to help solve her problems. And now that I've grown and I've learned, I realize women don't want you to solve their problems. They want you to listen, and they'll figure it out on their own most of the time. So playing the victim was one of the bigger manipulations that John mentioned, and I could definitely relate to that. The other was guilt tripping. This was early from the start. I knew this was one of the red flags that when we were dating, I had several thoughts of, I don't think I want to be with this girl anymore. She's very negative. She's very, very jealous and controlling. There was one time in particular, one of my coworkers they're deploying out of the military, so they were going to Iraq. and we went to go out for beers and just have fun together. And she kept calling me that night, saying how she was upset she couldn't go because at the time she was under 21. She's worried that I was gonna cheat on her, that I wouldn't be around the next day for her. So I remember leaving this place early to go to her house to confront her, like not confront her, but to be with her so that I could make her feel secure that I was there and that, you know, I wasn't cheating on her. And this was early on in the relationship. So this was one of the first red flags I had about it. But because I didn't have any options, I assumed this is just what you do to keep a girlfriend around. I didn't have any other options. This is the first girl that said she loved me and wanted to be with me. So I'm gonna do whatever I can to make her happy. There was times when nudity would come up on a movie. She would guilt trip me. She would get upset. She would go upstairs, just very upset, slam the door, making it seem like it's my fault, would guilt trip me about picking the movie, that I was wanting to look at naked women instead of her, like she should be the only one I ever am attracted to. And she would make me feel very bad about myself because this happened in a movie that I have no control over. Like I've mentioned in other videos too, with the working out. I got to a point, I'm pretty sure at this point I was wanting to work out because I was getting to be so unhappy with the negativity, the jealousy, the guilt trips, that I did start wanting to work out. I wanted to improve myself, and she would accuse me of doing it so that I would leave her or that I would cheat on her, you know, whatever. And I mean, maybe she did have a point. Maybe I was preparing myself to end the marriage and I wanted to work out so that I would be ready for it. But because she guilt tripped me and I wanted to be a good husband, you're supposed to stay together forever. So in my mind, she probably was right. Maybe I should just stop working out because I don't want to make her upset. I don't want to make her jealous that I'm getting in better shape, because then women will give me more attention, which is probably why I was doing it. I didn't probably care that much about my health at the time, even though I was starting to develop high cholesterol. I wasn't working out. I wasn't healthy. And I wasn't probably doing it for the right reasons, but she did guilt trip me back into not working out, which made me play more video games, which made me even lazier. And then, you know, eventually she does find somebody who's more attractive that she wants to be with, and I'm stuck where I am. I wrote down gaslighting. John mentions gaslighting. Trying to make it seem like, trying to change the sense of reality. There was the time where I caught her sending an email to one of her ex-high school friends, and she was calling him sexy. And she was trying to convince me that she just sends that messages to her friends. It's no big deal. I shouldn't worry about it. Trying to gaslight me about how it's fine that she does that. And this really infuriated me, obviously, because I knew she was lying to me. No one just sends a message to their friends calling them sexy that they haven't talked to for years. So we fought about this. We were on the brink of getting separated. Like, I had it in my mind that this was gonna be it. This is gonna be over. I don't want to continue this relationship. We've had our ups and downs. I've been feeling these guilt trips, these manipulations for years. And, you know, I just don't know if I can do it. She ended up kind of guilt tripping me, I would say, into staying at this time. This was probably 6 years in, so 6 or 7 years. So this was like halfway through the marriage. But this was one of the tipping points, I thought. But she would guilt trip me with, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't mean to do anything. What would I ever do without you? I can't afford my own apartment. I can't see a life without you. What will I do? I'd be so helpless. And I don't want to put her on the street or anything. Like, I don't want to be a bad husband. I don't want to be the bad guy. She was really speaking to the nice guy in me. So I took her back. We made it work-ish. Like, I never forgot about it. I still remember it now. I'm not I'm not upset about it. I wish I would have had boundaries and would have just left at that time, but had I done that, who knows what would have happened with my life, so I'm not upset about that. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of times where she's trying to make it seem like in her reality things are right. I think this goes back to the nudity in a movie, trying to make it seem like it's unacceptable that a movie would have nudity, or that it's unacceptable for a man to find other women attractive, trying to make it seem like she's right about this and that human nature doesn't exist. And it's just another thing that I noticed about manipulation. John goes over like 13 or 14 things. I feel like I could relate to most of them. The other one was changing the subject rather than addressing our issues. This happened with the email. This happened when she was the last few months of our marriage. Rather than addressing the situation, she would always try to change the subject. And I don't think she was doing it. I think she was doing it because she didn't want to face the uncomfortableness of figuring out what's going to happen, and because I think she was just waiting to see what her next moves would be. In case of the email, at the time she wasn't really working, so she didn't have a lot of options. Her next move would have been either moving back with her mom or being out on the street. So her best option was to change the subject and to make it seem how helpless she would be without me, really guilt tripping me, really laying it on thick so that I would stay. And then in the case of the end of our marriage, wow, it's getting windy here. The end of our marriage, when things were going on, I would tell her, like, I think something's wrong, something's different about you. There's definitely noticeable things that are happening that you're not telling me about. And oh man, this wind's distracted me. Hopefully the sound's all right. But yeah, she would just change the subject of, no, everything's fine, it's not a big deal. And then 2 weeks later, come to find out she's with her coworker. She's able to now move out. She doesn't need to guilt trip me about it. And yeah, that happened several times, just changing the subject, not addressing what really was the issue until she had a solution or a way out for herself. It was never in my best interest. It was always kind of what would work best for her. The wind picked up a lot there, so I had to stop filming for a second. But continuing on, just another thing that I noticed after watching John's video was a manipulation tactic, jealousy and comparison. This one really hit me because I remember we were watching a show called Robin Big, if you ever saw that on MTV back in the day. And she specifically said, I wish you were more like Rob. He's so fun and energetic and outgoing. And I thought at the time it was pretty rude to say, like, I am what I am. You married me for who I was. And now you're telling me I should be like somebody else that I'm the exact opposite of. I was very quiet, didn't have friends, wasn't extroverted in any way, didn't go out and socialize. So it didn't make sense to me how I would ever be that guy, because she would get jealous if I would go out and socialize, or if I would talk to women or guys. And also, these shows are scripted. You don't know that that's how he actually acts. She would also use the comparison, saying her other boyfriends were so much more fun and outgoing and like to do things. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, that's great. I'm not that guy. I always grew up shy and quiet, so I can't even change if I wanted to. You know, now I know I could, but at the time I didn't. And when she started saying these things, I'm thinking, well, okay, that's great. That's not me. It probably would never be me, but I would be nice to be that way. And so maybe that did help me. Maybe it implanted in my head that once we did split, that I would become that guy. But I think mostly it was because I learned that it was possible. I felt it was rude to say that to somebody, like, I wish you were more like that, when, you know, you married the person that you did, knowing who I was. You knew I was pretty quiet. You knew I wasn't going to be the outgoing socialite like that. Comparing me to other of her friends, boyfriends, and husbands, just saying, oh yeah, they seem so much more happy than you are. And I don't know, it's just, I thought it was didn't make me feel good. I think it was to kind of keep me in my place, to not actually grow as a person, just a way to dig at me maybe. I don't know. I thought it was very rude to say. I mean, I wouldn't say that to somebody else, saying, I wish you were somebody else, but I don't know. I put up with it. I didn't have boundaries, so that is the way it is. Another tactic that was mentioned in the video was diminishing achievements. This one, I didn't really consider this, I guess I didn't notice this was manipulation until I watched that video, but I remember when I was in the military, I was selected to be part of the honor guard, which is what they give members, or they select members based on, how well you're doing, your discipline, just the achievements that you've been having so far in the military. Not everybody's selected to do it. I felt very privileged and honored to do it. What we would do we would do the military honors for any fallen veterans. So if we're going all across the state to present the flag to the widows, to the brothers, just to the families, to give them the 21 gun salute, play the taps, which is the song that's played, to honor these guys. And I felt very proud to do it. Felt like it was a big responsibility, and she didn't look at it that way. She considered it a burden, thinking that I'm traveling all this time, I'm hanging out with this group of people, and that, I'm probably gonna cheat on her, or it's not as important as you make it out to be. I remember we would go on overnight trips because it was so, it's a long drive, and we got to be ready the next day. So we'd go on overnight trips, and because she was so jealous that I would cheat on her, I would sit on the phone with her all night. Talking to her rather than going to hang out with the crew and building social connections and bonding with them. And then when I ended up winning Honor Guard Airman of the Quarter because of the hard work I was doing. I was the leader of the team. It was the first time I actually felt I had some confidence. I felt like I was actually good at something because I didn't need to communicate necessarily to do that. It was very much routine, like structured. So you'd do the movements, you'd fold the flag, like it's very technical, and I was doing a great job at that. But when I won the award, I felt like she was getting more jealous that I was getting attention for winning it rather than her being proud of my achievements. Same thing happened with college when I ended up getting into the Honor Society. I was very proud of how far I had come. I barely graduated high school because I didn't care, so I never thought I was all that smart. But when I got to college, I actually put in the work. I wanted to be good at it. So I studied hard, got good grades, got accepted to the Honor Society. And again, it seemed like it was not that important to her. She didn't think it was a big deal. She was more jealous of the attention I was getting that she wasn't getting. I don't know, I guess it's just insecurities. But now that I'm out of that relationship, I know that that's not something that I want to deal with anymore. I want women that are gonna be proud of my success, push me to be better, not be jealous of where I'm going, so that I don't know if they felt left behind or if she was worried that I was gonna leave because I was getting the success. But it's very, I remember at the time it was very disheartening. I wanted her to be proud of me. I wanted her to be happy for me. And instead I felt guilty that I was getting attention, that I was succeeding, and that I guess she wasn't coming up to the next level with me, or I don't know, I felt guilty at the time that I was getting all this attention. She wasn't. I didn't really like attention because I was just a quiet guy. I didn't know how to handle it. So now it's just, I didn't realize just how many of these things that were actually happening within my marriage. The last one I wanted to mention was exploiting my insecurities. I've seen this happen a lot with my parents. I don't know if my dad's insecure about it or not, but my dad will take off his shirt and my mom will make jokes about no one wants to see his belly, or, just very derogative, like just putting the finger in, tapping, yeah, just putting in the right spot. And my ex would do this too. I was very sensitive about my looks. I knew I was a quiet person, so I was sensitive about that, not knowing what to say in front of people. And she would call me out in front of others. She would make me feel bad about the way I looked, and it prevented me from really ever opening up to her. I don't think I really shared any of the stuff that happened to me in childhood that I felt shame about or guilty about. Could never be vulnerable. Couldn't really share what I was feeling or what I was envisioning in the future. I just never opened up to her. It was really, I think now that I look back on it, it was very much focused on me trying to please her. I knew she was not happy at her work. I knew she was not happy with her family relationships. I knew she wasn't happy with my parents. I knew she wasn't happy with our relationship. So I think my focus was just on what can I do to fix you, to make you happy. I don't want to share anything with you because if I do, then you can use that against me forever. It happened a few times and I learned my lesson not to share. But now that I've grown, I got married at 22. I didn't know shit. But now that I've grown, I've developed as a man, I'm comfortable sharing my vulnerabilities. It doesn't bother me where I've come from. It made me the person I am. Some of it might be embarrassing, some of it might not be. I don't try to hide things anymore. I just own up to it. These videos I shared way more in these videos than I ever did with most of the girlfriends I've had. I've been much more open now, and the girls that I see, they really appreciate that. That's one of the things they'll say to me is that I'm very good at opening up, being vulnerable, and taking feedback. If they have something that they were upset about, if I wasn't texting them enough or if I wasn't listening enough, they'll tell me. And now I'm to the point where I can take that feedback. I'll listen to it and then I will process it and I'll either agree or I won't agree, but I'll have an opinion on it. Whereas before, I think I was so used to being manipulated and forced to think a certain way that if I didn't agree with it, I would just shut down. So when my wife and I would get in an argument, she would guilt trip me and then I would just shut down and not talk because I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't be vulnerable. I couldn't express an opposite opinion because then I'd probably get guilt tripped for that. Yeah, it sounds like I was really just pointing the finger at my ex-wife. I take personal responsibility for everything that I've done in the marriage. I was not a great husband. I'll completely own up to that. These are just things that I noticed that were happening in the relationship, that as they were happening, I felt there was something wrong, something was not right. Now that I'm away from that type of relationship, I do have boundaries. I recognize these things now. These are not things that I would put up with my girlfriend now. I have boundaries. If they're gonna guilt trip me or make me feel bad about something, I'll address it. And if it's an issue for them that they can't handle or get over, then we'll have to go our separate ways or we'll have to think of something else. It's not something I'm going to just back down on now because of scarcity, not having any options. So that's just where my thoughts were after watching this video. It really just got me thinking about how many times in the relationship I felt this way, but didn't address it. I just let it build up. It affected my self-esteem. It affected my confidence, thinking I was never doing something right. I wasn't being a good husband. But a lot of it just came down to, I think, her insecurities and her not having self-esteem. So that's really all I wanted to share on that subject today. Let me know in the comments if you guys have had experiences with this. I know a lot of guys are going through divorces now. I wonder if you guys have felt this way too. Is it just based off maybe their low self-esteem? Maybe you're not providing enough for their marriage? I don't know. There's a lot of things that it could be. But share those in the comments. Like and subscribe. I'm off to, I guess, the gym again. Focused on my health a lot more. Now I'm not getting guilt tripped into staying home and not working out. I can go work out as I please. I'm doing great with the no sugar. Today will be day 15. I'm down 5 pounds already. I feel much better. I do still think about, pizza and candy, but I know if I eat that, I'm just done, and I'll eat at least 3 days. I'll eat 3 days and just garbage, just trying to catch up. So doing well with that. Hit the sauna after that, edit this video, and I don't know. I'll see you later.